So I'm going to show you what I hope is the final iteration of my fly rig, my B rig. The whole purpose of this is that the entire rig is contained within this small little form factor pedal board. And people call it a fly rig because, well, you might have to get on a plane with it and bring it as a carry-on. Maybe you're getting on a boat. Maybe load is just simply not on site and you have to walk with it. But either way, if you're working with a professional band these days in 2025, and you're doing substantial stuff, they have their stuff together. They have a sound system, and they're probably on in-ear monitors. I'm wearing some right now. And it's almost expected that guitars go direct to board these days anyway. So let me take you through the signal chain, and then I'll show you the sounds I'm getting out of these pedals and what's going on here. So we start with, I'm just using it as a simple tuner. It's the Shure tuner / wireless, but I'm just using it as a tuner really. That's then going into the Wampler Euphoria overdrive pedal, then into the Soar Eclipse dual overdrive pedal, then into the Gearbox, Wampler Gearbox dual overdrive pedal. So I have 3 overdrive pedals in front of the Tonex One that I'm running in dual channel mode. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Then from that, I'm going into the Empress Para EQ. It's a fully parametric EQ on one side. You can't really see it in the frame. And then on the other side, there's a boost, and it's a pretty big boost. So I've got one of these big foot pedal knobs on it, so I can't miss it if I want that boost. So that's boosting the entire signal. From there, I'm going into the Andy Timmons Halo by Keeley. It's a delay pedal. It's a very, very nice delay pedal. And that's coming out stereo into the Empress, another Empress pedal reverb. And that's coming out stereo into, well, a DI box in this case. But I don't have to go stereo. I can go mono too. So that's the signal flow. And it's all revolving around the tones from this Tonex One. So right now I'm using the Progo Tones Mini Rectifier Lollar Imperial pack, I suppose. So, because we make them for specific pickups. So right now from that preset pack, I'm using the Edge of Breakup. And then I have I think I called it the Big Lead. So I can toggle back and forth. And it's just a simple, let me get back to my regular reverb. It's just a simple clean. Oh, that's why it sounds big. I had the halo on. And it's got just a little bit of dirt on it. And just from this alone, I cover a lot of ground. When you're playing top 40, wedding band, just function band stuff as a professional guitar player, you're on the clean channel, I would say 80 to 90% of the night. So it's got to be able to go back and forth from this to, with a flick of a switch, so they're 2 completely different sounds, and I can get that just from coil taps on the guitar and pickup changes, so I can do a lot with just that. And it takes pedals well. So speaking of pedals, the next one I want to show you is, the first one up in the chain is the Wampler Euphoria. I'm using this as my lower drive pedal. And I'm going to play a clean chord, and then I'm going to bring it in, and I want you to notice that it doesn't really color the sound anymore. It just adds more to it. It literally just sounds like another amp channel, and I cannot recommend this pedal enough. It's one of the early versions, and I want to thank my buddy Matt for gifting this to me. That was awesome. And while I'm at it, I want to thank my buddy Tyler for gifting me the Soar Eclipse. So thank you guys. This has been a huge help. So here's the clean. Here's a little dirt. And right here, you can get a lot done with just this, because with the coil taps too. It's all that classic rock stuff. And believe it or not, all that AC/DC, they didn't use as much distortion or overdrive as people like to think. So you can cover a lot just with this and the coil split. I could go from Tom Petty to, again, all just from one pedal and the guitar itself. Then the next level of gain stage up from that is the, I guess, distortion side of the gearbox, which sounds like a pedal. Unlike the Euphoria and the Soar Eclipse that sound like amp channels, you know the gearbox is a pedal. But in a mix, it's not really going to matter. But it's just a little bit more. So clean, overdrive 1, overdrive 2. And the cool thing with this is when I put it in the single coil mode on the pickups, you can do that Stevie Ray Vaughan thing. So you can kind of get that sound out of it. But, you know, if we're playing, you know, and I need a little dirt, I need it to be more rockin' than this, but not as rockin' as this. This is my, you know, middle of the road gain. Then the next level of gain, if we're talking just rhythm, is one of the channels of the Soar Eclipse. That's where I can get the chug stuff. So that's all the bigger rock stuff. So you need that palm mute. That's great at that. So that's the basic selection of, oh, and then with one button here, I can go right to, I guess, the burner, the big rock. So that's that big rock tone that I have everything built in, the delay and everything to the Tonex preset, with the level bump too. So I have multiple stages of gain staging that'll get me through all of the rhythm stuff that I need. I do a lot with the guitar itself, so I have everything that I need right here. And the Empress Para EQ is great because if I'm doing like lead stuff, let's just say we're doing like a jazz tune, and we're right, okay, here we are. And they're like, oh, okay, Steve, play a solo. Well, so I have a boost right there, and I can beef it up with the parametric EQ if I want. So it just takes my tone and it makes it just more. So I can get above the band. So I guess that brings me into the lead stuff. So the first lead stuff, I guess it would just be a boost. After the Tonex, it's just the entire sound just boosted a little bit with the EQ. And it's subtle. Then I have the tumness side of the gearbox. So this is like a clon. And it's got a little bit of dirt on it. It colors it, makes it a little darker. Right? A little darker, but it beefs it up a little bit. So if we're doing like a John Mayer tune. I have all that lead stuff, and then I can go back to my rhythm. And then right back to leads if I want. So that's all the clean lead stuff. It gets me everywhere from the jazz to, you know, that John Mayer bluesy thing. From there, I stack. The next level of lead, I'll usually have the Euphoria on, and maybe both sides of the gearbox, and I have the distortion going into the boost or tumnus side, and that's when I'll probably also turn on the Andy Timmons delay. So it's not a huge lead. So if we're doing a song like Boogie Oogie, right? Boogie Oogie is like. Well, I'm going to take a solo after the first chorus. And it's gotta have something to it, but it's not like totally full out rock, you know. I don't want to scare the audience. You know, you don't want to play too much on these top 40 gigs. Just make it tasty. Or I can use this side, the lead side of the Eclipse. Now the thing is about this pedal, it's really noisy. Listen. It's just a super noisy pedal. I've got this running at 18 volts, but it does sound like an amp channel. And honestly, I'd love to have a dedicated noise gate, but I don't have space for it. And I also don't like the tap dancing, you know. So it is what it is. I turn it on, it's got noise. Some places are noisier than others, but... So it gets me into that territory where it's not scaring grandma. It's tucked in the mix. It just sounds nice, especially with the delay. Okay, great. And then finally, I already showed you that big giant overdrive that I have here. And that's good for, you know, your don't stop believins and all that stuff. So that's all the gain stages. And if I want any more of any of that, I can just put the boost on. So if I'm here, now I just want more. You can tell you can get a lot of boost out of this pedal. So the cleans, the Empress reverb pedal, I have a few different reverbs, and this is really important, especially for worship stuff or for a lot of stuff, really. Here's it with nothing on it. It's completely clean. It's just a hall, you know, nothing fancy. It's there and you're in a space. And I like having the knobs here because I can just change it if I'm in a space that already has enough reverb. I can, you know, do what I need to do. That's the good thing about having a board like this, where all the knobs are just immediately right in front of you. You don't have to waste any time paging through menus or anything. I got my 2 amp sounds here, boom, done, and then I can just bend down and turn knobs if I need to. I'm like a caveman. And then the next one, it's just a little more reverb. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. It's just a bigger space. And it's a slightly different EQ on that too. Now the third one, it's a nice big ethereal space to it. And if you add the Andy Timmons halo to it, again, a lot of worship stuff has those sorts of sounds on it. It's just such a great pedal, man. Yeah, these two together work really well. I love these sounds. So if we're playing like that Rod Stewart song, and sometimes this gets called. It's just a nice pad. And then from here, I have all these presets that just go higher and higher into pad status. That's a little brighter of a space. That's a little darker of a space with a little modulation to it. So they're just tiny little flavors from there. And I think the last thing that I have on here is really meant to be like a swell pad. So that's nice because it has the octave up on it too. They call it what, glimmer or something. So anyway, those are all of the sounds that I have on my board, and I can cover all of the bases. I can cover everything with this thing. And honestly, you know, my A rig is an Axe FX2 with a power amp and a big cabinet and like the Bradshaw looking MIDI switching system, which is great because, like I said, I don't like to tap dance. And it sounds great. I got it dialed in, man. But the amp tones that you can get out of, when they're done right, capturing and profiling, this feels and sounds more like a real amp to me. It essentially is. I spent years playing tube amps, like just guitar straight in, maybe a tube screamer or something in front into an amp. And this feels and sounds like a tube amp to me. Whereas the Axe FX, it doesn't quite. At least I have the Axe FX too. Either way, they're great tones, they're usable. I'm really happy with this board, and so hopefully I get to play this soon, and hopefully you get to come out to a show and see me play soon. Great.